All right, we are going to continue work. We're working on the Spelljammer conversion right now, trying to kick that out the door. It'll probably be like a little 30-page piece, and then we'll get into. We'll then be able to take a little bit more time with the guild and kingdom mechanics, fleshing that out, and then we'll be doing a lot of Eberron adventure stuff on stream as well, while the Spelljammer stuff sits and chills a bit. So give me a second here. Check that. So yeah, that sounds cool. Okay, cool. Got that there. Hey, I'm gonna punch a bunch of buttons here. If you check down the description down below, it's my intro clippy dealy thing, and follow me on Twitter. I just posted on Twitter that I've gone live and posted that link that you probably followed to get here. And now I'm just dropping into the Discord real quick, just to do a shout out through the D&D Discord. Fry Minis gets advanced copies of all the WotC books. Fry Minis has great ideas about converting flavor into characters. Zipperon runs campaigns and gives great DM advice. Classes and Constructs is the most fun D&D into MTG conversion channel that I've found out there. Dungeoneers Pack is he runs a great show. I really enjoy talking with him about different subjects from time to time, catch him up. Indestructible Designosphere, love Indestructible Boys culture, great people. Drive Through RPG and DMsGuild are the motherships for 5e content creators, of which I am one. You can check the link down below. It shows the words I'm trying to use is there's a link to DMsGuild. It's got a bunch of my books. You can click into those. It's a bundle. You can check out each of the books in the bundle, and then check on the eyeball on mobile, or click on full preview on your browser, and it'll give you a full PDF with sample written on it, a page to cover, page by page, full resolution. If you like the book, come back and buy it, please, just to encourage me to keep doing it. But all of my color mechanics for like MTG, spell point, variant rules are in that bundle. They're all there for you. All the work that I publish is 100% preview. You only pay for it if you think it's good. So if you want to grab it, play a campaign from 1 to 20, and then come back and you liked it, then great, go ahead and grab it and share it with your friends. I would love that. But otherwise, we're just going to build this thing. These things should be in the books. They're not. So we're building tools and making them available. I started playing D&D when I was 12, and that was back in the 80s. I had an allowance of $5 a week. And at the end of a month, I could afford one book. And occasionally, every 6 months, I could have a second purchase in the same month. And of course, D&D was all my birthday and all that stuff up until I was able to get a job at 16. So I get being flat broke, and that the lifeblood of this hobby is kids. I was that kid. I got into Spelljammer. Spelljammer came out a couple years after I started playing regularly every week, and so I've always loved Spelljammer a lot, and I'm really excited that the Eberron campaign that I run has been using old Spelljammer mechanics for years now. It's a space opera campaign. Each nation is a small 100 to 1,000 mile asteroid that floats around in the morning, which is what they call the remnants of the destroyed planet. And so I've got like Carnathy battle cruisers and all sorts of flight ships that people can use instead of just the old airships. So and it just dives into the astral, which takes you, to Tartarus or whatever outer planes you want to go to. So that's how I've been running my campaign for the past 8 years ish, and it's just evolved there over time since 3rd edition. So now that 5e is out, and it's so open for defining mechanics, I get to use some of my own, and so I get to publish this stuff, and I'm putting this into a book. And if this is what is it, the 32nd episode of the In Command series. You've seen me pretty much build this thing up from nothing, and it really works. All the playtests we've been running on Thursdays and Saturdays have been fantastic so far. It absolutely does what it's supposed to do, which is have combat scaling from 5 feet to 5 million feet per square, whatever it is that you need. The system can scale up, but this is a very small, specific tear out of that document, keyed specifically to the mechanics that are put inside of the Spelljammer box set, the Spelljammer Adventures in Space that Wizards just released on 5e. It doesn't dive deep into like running posses of 15 guys down a dungeon tunnel. It's just commanding a ship. It's you. The only guys that you're commanding are ballista crews or whatever siege machine you're firing. You're using your piloting skills to use the command vehicle mechanic optimization system, and you can pan out to control multiple ships that are like multiple ships occupying a single square that you're representing basically as a follower, or basically like summon fleet, as like instead of conjure animals, it's like conjure fleet. So you got like, you know, instead of 16 dogs, you've got 16 hammer ships. You're not actually summoning them. That's trite. It's I mean, like if you can create a fleet of ships, either using the Light of Zoraxis or other similar scenarios where you can go in and you can interact with these ship guilds that can lend you ships or devote their fleet to your cause, then you can get, you know, in light you can amass up to 30 ships. So well, 31 counting your own, 33 if you count the pirate ship, as well as the galleon you initially came in on. So you can have a decent sized tussle against a similarly sized fleet of star moths at the Zoraxis Citadel. So this is the full document. If you check in the link down below, the Patreon link takes you to an About page, and the About page has this playtest URL here. You can dive in and you can read along with me. So all the guild stuff is in here, all the character mechanics stuff is inside of here, the kingdom mechanics, all the tasks. It's all in there. It's just the last 24 pages of the document is the In Command of Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. That's the working title for now. That's what we're building with right now. I was just falling into mechanical design, and I realized I could do this on stream, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not having a playtest this weekend to give myself some me time, and to get the Eberron adventure finalized with the revisions that we've made, so that we can have more DMs run the 8th level adventure for us and give us their feedback to make sure that they like it as well. And if they can sign off on it, then Stuart Braz is already starting preliminary edits through the front end of the book, and this last brush with the DMs should be hands off as far as design work for the hopefully next month. So the stream time, I can start devoting more stream time specifically to the artwork for creating the Eberron adventure, which is going to be awesome. Stick around for that. And on Monday specifically, this next week, we are continuing our work in the martial powers supplement that gives martial characters like barbarians and fighters mana options to complement the 5-color mana spell point variant rules, which are free for you to view down link the DMsGuild link down below. So that's my Monday routine. We're working on this on Thursday. I'll probably come back and play with this a little bit more tomorrow. Then Saturday is going to be some deep Eberron design time, and yeah, and then we'll be back on Monday for martial powers. Monday night is probably going to start just being stream time for artwork. I think Andy and I are done for the time being with what we were doing, so I can we don't need to do the design session together for a while, but I will be streaming. So Monday nights is going to be art stream from now on instead of downtime design. So man, I'm really looking forward to it. My station's about to pop off, man. I'm going to be doing layouts. I'm still doing mechanical text here and with the martial powers. And then I'm going to be doing a lot of map and illustration work, book cover painting for the Eberron adventure starting this weekend. Whew, man, I'm pretty excited. I'm going to have all 3 pistons churning. So we're going to have a hell of a machine here. Tune in, subscribe, like, share, drop some comments on the board, hit me on Twitter, say what up, and check out my books. But so let's get back into it. So we've got we were working on the scaling of maps, and again, this is on page 105. Let's go up to page 104 is where the Spelljammer content begins for you. It's a read only, so check it out. But again, the whole thing will be 100% preview when it's done on the DMsGuild. Man, we build things to play, and I run campaigns from level 1 to 20. Roughly in about 250 hours, so I'll cycle through a campaign every 250, depending on how many hours a day that we run when we run a session. But it's pretty consistently. We're actually just about hit 17th level in my time travel campaign in Eberron, and that's actually probably no. You know what? Yeah, we just cleared the 220th hour on that. So it's probably going to end up running a little long, like maybe around 250. Maybe 270 hours total until we close out that campaign. And then we're going to start the In Command 4X campaign, where we have we'll be using these mechanics here inside this document to create a small settlement. And then each season we advance the different tasks that the settlement was exploring to build guilds and different combat troops. And then each season that the guild that our settlement is performing these tasks, the players choose one task that they want to specifically take command of themselves, and then we'll make an adventure out of it until they resolve it. And once they resolve it, then the season turns over, the resources expand, the community grows. They get to drop in some new buildings, some new community members, like some new residents show up. And they get to sculpt it, and then so basically like maybe every 15 to 20 hours they'll go through a season, they'll complete that mini quest, and then they'll start a new one. And in that one we can run say 100 seasons to go from 1 resource to 100, capping out how many resources a community can have before it destabilizes and fractures into multiple smaller communities, or just naturally branches off into its own political bases and begins redistributing resources and wealth, political systems, and all that background nerdy 4X stuff that DM, like some DMs like really geek out on. But it's completely background. But that's all they have to do is focus on the adventuring stuff, and every season we just add a resource and decide how we're going to allocate that resource. Do we want to change what default tasks the community has, and what's drawing our individual attention right now for us to inject shenanigans to make it feel more like an off the rails game. And that'll be a sort of East March game where you can opt in, opt out of playing. Like how West March is like, as long as we got 4 guys that are willing to throw something down, then we're good to go. And this one is going to be we do this at work. It's our lunchtime thing. So we'll just have a pool of who's available to be here today, grab a character and start working on the task that the team has decided on. They'll have their time to organize together what they want their tasks to be, and then when it's lunchtime, we all grab our sandwiches and we just throw open the map. It's like, great, what's your next move? And then we start processing the move until buzzer hits, and then we go back to work, and they can chew on what's next. And when we sit down at lunch again, it's like, what's next? So we can just keep chewing through the campaign that way. A lot of fun. Get your coworkers into gaming with you, and you'll never want to leave that job. It's honestly the best thing management could ever do, is have an hour-and-a-half long lunch for people to be able to snack, game, and then go back to work. It's just, they're your teammates, they become your teammates. You know what I mean? It's awesome. So great. So what are we working on? We're working on actual content, and we're working on the systems. So mapping and scaling, we know that the top cap is 100 million miles that you can travel per day. So that gives us our overland movement speed. And then everything scaled down from there to stop is possible depending on the size of the objects that you're interacting with. So you can only see things so far away. And the way that SAS, Spelljammer's Adventures in Space, SAS, the way that SAS has it explained is that when you're moving at that light, that hyper speed, when an object draws near, it automatically slows you down so that you have to deal with it. And the way that I'm restructuring it is it's just narrative, but we're establishing the size of the object and therefore how far away from it do you need, like how close do you need to be able to make out detailed information about that object. Like if you see a human, like if way back here you get the sense that that there's something coming up. What is it? It's like, well, it looks like it's a medium-sized thing. Okay, great. Well, by the 1 mile range when I'm cruising at lightning speed, and it my while we're floating through this ambient like this esoteric movement, we become aware of when an object of 5 feet is within a mile of us, and we have a moment to contemplate, do we want to engage with it or not. We're only going to be able to make out the most vague details of it. It's humanoid and it's just adrift. It's not moving. It's like, well, that's interesting. It's like a floater. Salvage? A salvager would absolutely stop. It's a floater. It could also be a warforged autognome that's been programmed to kill anything that picks it up unless it has the proper password. It could also be undead. So floaters floaters aren't necessarily safe, but they could also be a calculated risk, especially if it's an autognome that can be convinced to work with you or can be salvaged for its parts. Undead, I mean, depending on what kind of a salvager you are, that's good stuff. I mean, that's free troops if you can control it. Otherwise, as a paladin, you're doing good by wiping it out. So a lawful good paladin always picks up floaters. At worst, it's evil that you can extinguish. At best, it's somebody that desperately needs your help. So it's a good idea to check out that salvage. So you're gonna pick up on that vibe at 1 mile, and then you can be like, okay, I want to spend a moment to check this out. So you can slow yourself so that you're coming into orbit with it at the 500 foot range. So at 500 feet out of this floater that you find out that guy 500 feet away, you can like, okay, yeah, it looks like he's wearing armor. I can see some flesh. Looks like there's I don't know, that's the best. There's metal and there's flesh. That's about the best I can do right now. So then you have to decide, well, do we want to close distance and get a detailed look? Then you float into 50-foot scale. So you got each square on, like at the 50, at the, let's do this the way that we're doing this. So you got your 1 mile, you got your map here, and each one of these squares is a mile. So if you find a floater out there, you can do a 10 by 10 grid, right? 10 by 10. Yeah, there we go. So this is a what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by something like, anyway. That's a 10 by 10 grid. We'll pretend that's a 10 by 10 grid, right? Okay, so if you're going to pick up that there's a guy here, and this is the maximum distance you can be at 1,000 feet. These are 500-foot squares each. So at 1 mile, you can be aware that, hey, there's a guy over there. He's a mile. He's like at your periphery. Like you would do a where is it? DC. You would have a if you aren't specifically looking for a floater, for instance, and you would have if you're doing a passive perception. If your passive perception is 28, or you're specifically tracking or doing perception, like if you're scanning for objects and you're using an orrery or just off the deck, or you're the Spelljammer and you're keeping an eye out, if you're passive or the active roll that you make is a DC 28, then any time that a 5-foot object passes within 1 mile of your ship, while you're moving at 100 million miles per hour, you get this mental ping, hey, there's a thing off there. And like you can hold attention on it long enough. It's like, that just looks like space trash. It looks like a rock. I don't care about that. You can choose, do I want to slow down and get within this 500 square range to check this thing out? If it turns out it's bad news, then I can just bounce out of there. I'm trying to grab my circle here and pop out of that 500-foot scale and then ramp back up to 10, like 5 million miles per square. And you're out of there, and you don't worry about it again until the next random piece of whatever comes along. So I've got this D10 thing over here. So you can go over here and you can roll your 10-sided die, and the next thing that you could run across, I rolled an 8. So the next thing that you're going to run across is something that's going to be roughly the size of the planet Toril, which is like 8,000 miles across. It fits within a 10,000 foot miles square. So that becomes your next state. That becomes your next scale of engagement. If you're using an orrery, a wild space orrery, you automatically know anything that's the size of 1 mile or larger, as per SAS, the Spelljammer Adventures in Space books. You know that when you enter the Xeraxis space, the 1 mile citadel that the Radiant Citadel, that the Xeraxis fortress is on, immediately pops up on your orrery. So even though the actual adventure book didn't tell us how effective an orrery can be in sighting things smaller than a planet, it provides us with in-game documentation that the range is 1 mile. Anything smaller than that, you can probably reasonably say is unavailable, which coincidentally is the next scale down, is the size of your ship. So you can basically pick up anything bigger than your ship when you come into a crystal sphere using an orrery. Otherwise, you got to use your naked eye. And so that means if you don't have that orrery, a planet of Trill, if that's the next thing that's coming in orbit, you could pick up on it in 10 million miles. So you would have the encounter range of 10 million miles. So over the course of the day, if we go back to our map here, and this is a 100 million mile square map, right? This is the Xeraxis sphere, crystal sphere that I drew to put into this document. Oh, hey man, what's going on, dude? Yep, I'm just doing some work. So I'm trying to get this thing built and kicking it out the door. So we're talking about scale here. So this is the Xeraxis space sphere that they gave us a cool illustration for in the, here, I'll show you their cool illustration. Hold on. The D&D Beyond, there we go. And then let's go with source content. Here we are, sources of the universe, SAS. Spelljammer's Adventures in Space, SAS is SAS. So let's go to likes Xeraxis. Thank you. Yes. Wild systems. Xeraxis space. Show me the thing. There we go. That's our illustration, right? That's cool. It's a good illustration because they don't have. There's the way the adventure is written is that it takes you a day. It pops up on your orrery. It takes you a day to get there. The DM can choose to have a random encounter if you want. Otherwise, when you get within 1 mile of the citadel, you get buzzed by a cop, and if that doesn't go down right, then they send a fleet after you to kill you. Fight ensues. You win the day, and then you knock out Ming the Merciless, and Earth is saved. Long live Flash. So that's how Flash Gordon played out, and that's how this plays out too. But if you want to have a campaign where you're navigating through the environment and you're doing stuff, then you're gonna I'm just gonna drop a mark here as you, right? So the rules that we have here is, I'm gonna make this a separate thing so we can stay on point here. I'll talk through this thing and I'll show you what I'm looking at. Let's see real quick. Encounter range. Oh yeah, familiarity. Okay, great. So entry point within a sphere. So you don't know anything about Zarax's space other than its description. You've otherwise never been there yourself. So if you have someone going with you that's at least somewhat familiar with it, meaning like if you can, like in that very first adventure where you take over the Star Moth, if you can capture that Star Moth, that means that you can have someone that's intimately familiar, very familiar with this space. Otherwise, it's description only or maybe viewed once. So when you traverse astral space and you get to Zaraxosphere and you cross into it, you're going to make a pilot. You can make a wisdom or intelligence check using either insight, survival, or your navigation tool skills. And depending on what the result you get is going to determine how close to the location that you want to appear to. So does that make sense? So like if I don't get the guards and I'm rolling a d20 and I've got, say I'm 8th level at this point, so I'm 2nd rank. I've got a +3 proficiency bonus, maybe like a +4 on my wisdom check, maybe. Let's just assume that, right? So I'm going to roll with a +7, and I rolled a natural 1. So naturally, a natural 1 means I'm going to appear the exact opposite. I cannot believe I freaking rolled a natural 1. That is amazing. I'm glad this is on tape. So I should have a camera pointed. You're going to have to take my word for it. Okay, so in this instance, where you would have wanted to have appeared is would be literally right here, because that is only on this, in this square here, because that's only 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. It's 4 days away from the Citadel, which is what I believe is what they say happens in the adventure, that you show up within 4 days. But I rolled that natural 1, so instead that means that I get to end up all the way over here. So if I had rolled what's the table? If I had rolled anything other than a frickin' 1, it would have been more interesting. So it's description only. Is a DC 28. I have a +7 on my roll, which means in this instance I rolled a 16. So that's a 23, which means that it's, what is that? Ideal. A 1 is horrible. 1, 2, 3 steps in between. So like this is halfway. So like if I had rolled a 16, I would have ended up like here-ish or here-ish. But I rolled a 17. So that means like I probably land like here or like here. And like if I land here, my day is gonna get worse because number 4 is their home world. This just happens to be their space station. So if I want to make my life worse, if I want to give them more random encounters, I'm going to put them here. If I want them to have less random encounters, I'm going to put them here. Like this will only be space patrol over here. This is, you have entered protected space. Get out or die. So your team is going to get peppered the hell out. So that's something that the DM can control. But like way over here is like, oh my god, that's ridiculous. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10 days away, right? That's 1/10 of a season, assuming that number 3 has it's 200,000, 200 million miles equals Earth and Toriel seasons. So that's 1 million, 100 million, 200 million. There we go. So at the 200 million mark. This has the same length of seasons as we're used to on Earth, which is a seasons every 100 days. Which means that if we start here like we do, in 3 months we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Holy shit, 12. That actually makes sense. Each square that you can move is a month. I love this system. It's so good. So in one season, you can move 1, 2, 3 days, right? But it's only been 10 days. So that means that this guy isn't even going to leave this square. He's not going to leave this square for another 20 days. This guy in here, he's got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it only takes him 8 rotations to get around the sun. So if each square is 30 days for here, it's 100. It's 360 days to go through your rotation here. That means each square is 30 days. So that means that's 1, 2, 8. It's a 240-day year over here. It would be 10 days. Would only be 1/24th. So in that amount of time, it's only moved half a square. So it's still inside the same square as it is right now. At the end of 20 some odd days, this one will move a square. In 30 days, both of them would move a square. So all you got to really think about is like you just set your tempo for the campaign. Like I update every season because of guild mechanics and resource management. So at the end of a season, I can move this guy 3, and then I can move this one 1, 2, 3. So he'll be here. And I can move this one 1, 2, 3. So that'll be there, which means this is 1, 2, 3. It'll be there. And if I had like another planet like out here, then it would go 1, 2, 3, and it would be here. Each square is 30 days. That's just how the game paces. It's just that easy. So you can compensate for how fast these things move, and you only have to update it every quarter or every 30 days, or every month or every season or every year, up to you. So it's super easy to use it. But this familiarity system allows you to determine where in the system are you going to land and how much longer is it going to take for you to get to the destination, especially if you're just doing sphere crawls. So if you're just going through the astral, finding a sphere, then checking it out, you can completely randomly generate the entire thing off of this. When you drop into space, you can decide how many objects there are of a certain size. We have the tables for that further down below. So you have these different scaling sizes. Like you can roll like a D5. Yeah, it's a D5 plus 5. A D4 plus 6 gives you. No, it's a D6 plus 4. Sorry, a D6 plus 4 gives you a range of 5 to 10. So when you create the crystal sphere, you can roll a D6 plus 4 to start randomly generating each one of these planets, and you can just set the size of the sphere by rolling a D10 or a D20, and that's how many squares large it is. And then every square, like you can roll a D20 for how many of these squares is going to have a planet populating it, or you can limit it to like a D8 if you want, and then you can just pepper out how far apart each one of these planets, what kind of a planet is it, how big of a planet is it. All this stuff already exists in 2nd edition. I'll probably just rebuild it because it's easy and drop it into an appendix at the back end of this thing. But that's how that works. So right now we're building crystal spheres, and I realized that if a natural 1 is going to get you the furthest away from your destination, and hitting the target number that you want or better is going to get you as close to your destination on the inside of the crystal sphere. What does a natural 20 do for you? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have to do anything for you, but crits are cool. So let's make something. And so the decision that I came up with is like, well, let's just have them appear anywhere that they want. Like, well, that would be a wish spell. I'd be cool with that, but that's a wish spell. And I do know from Planescape in 2nd edition that you can use a color pool to scry. So if you find a color pool in astral space that's big enough to shove your ship through, if you can sync that color pool to where you want to go, you could just magically appear within orbit of the planet that you were looking for. So that means a color pool can take you to the detailed range distance from the object that you're thinking about. So, and then the difficulty of you being able to pull it off is the size of the object. So there you go. Like if you can think about your mom and you want to go there and you happen to roll a natural 20 when you're doing your entry point, then you can pop up and like floating above her home. Wah, 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 wah. There you go. But if you have access to a color pool and you can scry that location anyway and then pass through it, then you can do that too. That's why color pools are so heavily guarded by anyone that knows about it, especially the people that the color pool gets access to. So I'm working on the text involving color pools right now, but my intention is to do the inner sphere map for realm space for Toril to line up in next to here. But I was just thinking about that color pool stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm doing a lot of writing. Maybe I should just jump on stream. I've got a couple hours, so why don't I just jump on stream and just do it here? So here I am. So hey, what's going on, Tyler? Adding my finishing touches to my Curse of Strahd character. We start. Hey, that sounds fantastic. So I went with Klana for more game and actually changed her class to Terran's Rune. Awesome. I felt like it fit her more than the Paladin I originally was, but I drew a short straw and got a 6 in Ka. Whew. Well, that is. Well, I'd switch. I'd switch to. Runekeeper's intelligence based, right? Like if I had a 6 I'd switch out of that pretty quick too. So that's cool, man. I hope that goes well for you. Oh, man. All right. So that's the stuff. So I'm going to do some writing stuff, and then I'm going to do some sphere creation, and then we'll see where we get to. So Bob's your uncle. Here we go. Let's cut away. Let's see. The astral plane. Color pools are portals into worlds. Portals in the astral plane that lead to specific locations that lead to what is it? I'm gonna look it up real quick. D&D color pools. Color pools. Thank you. Color pools from the other worlds. Unique to it, the feature, the plane, the pool could lead to sometimes determined by the pool's color. Scholars believe that there are infinite number of pools, an infinite number of planes. Most likely common feature to be seen a visitor in astral relative vast size. The astral plane, it would usually take a visitor to the astral anywhere from 6 to 24 hours of astral travel to reach the nearest color pool from any given point. Even so, one didn't have to know the precise location of any color pool. If you were to visit the astral plane, you only had to think about going to a pool leading to your desired destination, and you would eventually find such a pool. If you had been to that plane destination before, you would find an appropriate pool even more quickly, as per the familiarity rules that we have. One strange matter reported by astral travel from Faerun was that once a visitor to an astral focused on a pool of a certain color, it was impossible to observe a pool of any other color during that entire visit. Pirates often cruise for color pools, and there's skiffs looking for victims. Irregular shape. Two-dimensional. 10 to 60 feet in diameter, so you could potentially push a ship through one. Color pools were only visible from one side. Easily pass through. Other colors, themes, blah, 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 blah. Would someone just please say specific location or scry? Because I'm having a hard time remembering. Our plane could be reached to the astral through a color pool, and the pool led most often to the first layer. The two exceptions were such and such. Traveler entered through a color pool in an astral form. The silver cord extends into the new plane, and a physical form was instantly created. Silver cord remain connected all the way back to the color pool, through the astral, and through the color pool back to the traveler's original body, remains in stasis. A traveler who had managed to enter the astral plane in physical form had no such limitations for him or her passing through any color pool. If a spellcaster uses astral projection, took a group along, everyone else in the group was instantly pulled through the color pool together. Where exactly the pool led, thank you, on the destination plane varied greatly. It could be in the sky, underwater, underground, or on the surface. Unlike portals, the destination of the color pool were not intelligently planned. They were random. Moving through a color pool felt like forcing oneself through a thin, soft membrane, which resisted. It was not possible. Only about 15-30% color pools allowed returning, so they're often one way. A two-way pool is not invisible. Scrying, thank you. It was possible to see through a color pool like a window to its destination if the viewer concentrated intently on the pool. Only the caster of the spell could see through the pool to the other side. If a group of planar travelers had entered the astral plane physically by other means, then the most intelligent individual could control the result of the viewing if it's contested. The pool caused being opaque and becoming fully transparent, providing a full view from between 100 to 400 yards above the surface of the target plane. If the viewer were mentally capable enough, he could attempt to focus the image towards a particular place on that plane, but the location viewed might still be anywhere on that plane despite this. Using a color pool like a scrying pool, destination in no way changed the actual location one might arrive at if the color pool were entered. Once a location had become visible, the scryer in the astral plane could actually move the image around at a rate depending on their intelligence at the maximum speed of blah. Moving one's vantage point, it was possible to use this technique to scry into large buildings. Some creatures' power could sense when they were being scryed on this way and fog up or seal off the color pool. Detect if someone is attempting through a pool, use normal 5e rules. Okay, great. So yes, you can use an astral pool. It has a preset location. You can attempt to use it to scry another location. That location is not guaranteed. So color pools are portals from the astral plane to other worlds. Typically, a pool will be 1d6 times 10. 1d10, 6 times 10 feet diameter. The larger size pools can be used by ships to pass into crystal spheres as well. Into crystal spheres, whatever. To wherever. Color pools are portals from the astral plane to other worlds. Typically, a pool will be really warm. I don't know what's up with that. Typically, a pool will be 1d6 times 10 feet diameter. The larger size pools can be used by ships, can accommodate defined berth. Nope. Measure of width. Thank you. Colored pools or portals. Typically, a pool will be 1d6 times 10 feet diameter. The larger size pools can accommodate the beam width, the beam length of a Spelljammer ship, allowing the vessel to arrive at the location allowing the vessel to arrive at the location of the pool within the sphere. That's the language that I want. Now, let's go back to SAS and reread what it says about crystal spheres, just to make sure that we aren't breaking anything. Travel between worlds. World-to-world travel requires a Spelljammer ship, a teleport spell, or some other kind of magic. Within a wild space system, the DM must decide how long it takes a Spelljammer ship to travel from one world to another. Okay, I see what you're saying. World to world, and then system to system. Wild space, traversing space, tracking time, travel by thoughts, navigation, temperature, fishing, weightlessness, magic, spells, magic items, ships. Would you please tell me something about arriving in the astral plane? Air envelopes, air quality, gravity, overlapping, drifting, falling, astral. Every world in the material plane is situated in wild space, space plankton, large creatures, some fish. In its own wild space system, wild space systems are airless oceans, teeming with ocean-dwelling life forms, including spores, blah blah. Ones that need air to survive, either blah or blah. Astral plane, wild space is where the astral plane overlaps with the material plane. Creatures and objects in wild space age normally, exist on both planes simultaneously. This overlap enables creatures to use spells such as teleport, teleportation circle to arrive from wild space to a nearby world, vice versa. It illustrates how the astral sea surrounds all the wild system spaces, as well as astral minions, blah blah. Any systems, for example, systems contain. Sorry, I'm trying to get through this. The following section describes how astral travelers can get from one system to another. Astral dominions and gods, creating a wild system, spell system. You can make an example. World to world, travel between systems. A creature that wants to travel from one space to another must cross the astral sea unless it has some other magical means of traveling from one world to the multiverse to another. Wild space systems aren't fixed because wild space systems to another. Fortunately for travelers, the nature of the astral sea makes such journeys relatively easy, as discussed in the next section. Traversing the astral sea. The astral sea is not only gravity, it is not breathable, it is no one ever certain. Only in rare areas the survive indefinitely as being or aging. Tracking time, who cares? Tracking time, who cares? Travel by thought alone. The more intelligent, who cares? One doesn't need a map to navigate the Azure Sea. Pick a destination, at which point it becomes aware of the most direct route to that location. The destination must be somewhere in the Azure Sea or in wild space, such as the nearest Githyanki outpost, the astral dominion of Hestavar, or realm space. This direction awareness doesn't reveal how safe the route is. DM decides how far the destination is and how perilous the trek will be. Temperature, don't care. Astral, don't care. Weightlessness, don't care. Magic, don't care. Spells, don't care. How do I leave a bubble? Please. Transfer attunement. I just read through this entire thing and it didn't tell me literally how do I pass from the astral into a wild space. Tell me. Where is it? Crashing, ship repair, vessels. I am having a hell of a time. This book is so frustrating. Where does it tell me how to get the hell out of my sphere? There's gotta, I have to have missed it. It's not where I think it is. Using this book, don't. Material, Astral Adventure, Astral Campaigns. If it says how to do something, I want to at least address how that thing does before I just write it off completely and just like do my own thing. That's not cool. That's not why we get paid to do this stuff. We get paid to do this because we think it through with people. Astral Dominion, there's no info there. Okay, maybe it's in how Spelljammer works. Maybe it was so. I need to not get angry and just keep studying. It shouldn't be this difficult. Cruising through space, Spelljammer helm, select course corrections, automatically shows the flying speed when it comes close to something big enough to do so. We're fixing that. We've been talking about that. Generous sensations, don't care about sensations. Air envelopes, don't care about air envelopes. Don't care about Spelljammer duels. I know what those are. Air envelopes, air, gravity, overlapping, drifting, falling, and we're back to the astral plane. We're already back to there again. It literally doesn't. Duels, air envelopes. Jesus Christ. I can't find it, dude. I cannot find it. I'm going to have to leave the actual rules and I'm going to have to go into Lights of Zaraxis to see if it can give me any actual rules on. It's not going to give me a rule. It's going to give me an idea about how to leave. But it's not an actual rule. It's just what they're doing with this adventure. They haven't built any rules about Attack the Star Moth, Terrors of the Void, Living on the Edge of Wild Space. Once the characters are aboard the second win and safely off the Rock of Brawl, turn to the Wild Pages system. Doesn't know much about Doom Space though. So the ship's immediate destination, only tower and asteroid. New venture. Stops drinking. Living on the Edge. Mama, I hate that I have to do this by reading an adventure to find a rule. Doc. Who cares about her stupid tour? She won't tell you the MacGuffin until you look at all her rooms. That's how you're earning your level, by being patient. Trunk, Wild Space, Orrery. Yeah. Flame. Crux accurate. Wisp, come on, dude. Ship of the Dead. Pirate Code, come on, man. You guys can fast forward this. I will drop a ping on the map when I find what the hell we're looking for. This book is so frustrating. Like this, like when people are trashing, like if you see reviews and people are like, there's a severe lack of rules in the Spelljammer setting rules. What they mean is that I can't find any rules about what happens when I travel from Earth to the edge of the crystal sphere, go into the astral plane. What happens there? How does that happen? And then when I'm in the astral and I find the sphere that I'm looking, I think of Doom's sphere and I get there. What happens next? There's no rules, there's no text in the actual SAS that says when you reach the end, when you reach the outer edge of the crystal sphere, you pass into astral space. It just says that they overlap. That tells me that if I'm in a jammer ship, I can just be in the astral plane. It's like astral plane physical at will. Or it means I have to travel a certain distance and then I'm actually in the astral plane. It's not neither, because one of those has to happen, but it's not both, because it doesn't give you free teleport. You actually have to travel to another world to get there. So this is the frustration that we are having, people. This is the problem. It's literally not in the SAS. Trust issues. No kidding. Where the hell is it? Trust issues, wild space system. The following cases depicted on the map of Dune space. That's up to you. You get to choose what happens when they go into the vortex. I recommend that they don't, says the book. This is a cool thing, like with the shattered sphere and stuff. You know, blood. Let's go to the next chapter. Maybe there's an answer there. Fuck, what a waste of time. All right, I'm gonna skip through this crap because it's starting to piss me off, and this is not why I came online. Space Invaders. Let's try that real quick. You emerge from the silver haze of the astral sea and enter a wild space system illuminated by a white star. Freaking cool. Using the wild blah blah, the characters can plot a course to the Imperial Citadel, which is by beam. Characters are 100 million miles one day travel from the Imperial Citadel when their fleet enters Zaraxis space. Space system. All right, let's double check that real quick. Distance to the outer edge of the system. Huh. So it's 4 days out, like I have it written. But this says when you come out of the astral, you're only 1 day away. Did I read that right? When their fleet enters Zarax's space. Okay, so there is no rule about where you actually show up from the crystal sphere to your location. You just kind of appear, I guess, wherever it's convenient. So you don't actually have to fly out to the outer edge of this. Jesus Christ. So there. Okay, so we're in crystal sphere from the astral sea. The likelihood of you choosing where you appear within the system is determined by the pilot's familiarity with the destination. Make a wisdom or intelligence check and compare it to the list below. Natural 20 results in you appearing within the object's explore range on course straight ahead as though the ship had passed through a color pool. Entry point. When entering a crystal sphere from the outer sea, the likelihood of you choosing where you appear within the sphere is determined by the pilot's familiarity with the destination. Make a wisdom check. A natural 20 results in you appearing within the object's explore range on course straight ahead as though the ship had passed through a color pool attuned to that location. Or the closest point. Or the closest space that the ship can occupy. Period. Rolling below the DC results in appearing at a location along the interior of the sphere further away than intended. For example, rolling a 12 for a destination only seen casually, the ship appearing at the furthest point opposite from the nation you intended. Rolling the DC or above results in arriving within 100 million miles of the intended destination. Rolling below the DC results in appearing at a location within the sphere further away than intended. Distance is 20, 24, 1d6, 1d8, 1d10. Rolling below the DC results in appearing at a location within the sphere rolling below the DC results if you roll below the DC, roll the distance die and multiply the result by 100 million miles. This is the distance from the location you from the intended destination. Let's see, if you roll below the DC, roll the distance die and multiply the result by 100 million miles. This is the distance from the intended destination that you arrive. You arrive up to the maximum distance but no more distant than the edge of the crystal sphere. If the distance rolled can be traveled in any direction, roll a 1d8 to determine which direction you arrive. From which direction to determine from which direction you arrive. There. Next. Cover pools are portals from the astral world to other worlds. Typically, a pool will be 1d6 times 10 feet diameter. The larger size pools can accommodate the beam length of a ship, Spelljammer ship, allowing the vessel to arrive at the location of the pool within the sphere. A sentient creature can concentrate. A sentient creature can concentrate on a color pool and what they identify. If a color pool exists for if a color pool leads to a crystal sphere. Typically the pool will be 1d6 in a mirror. Large size pools can accommodate the beam length of the Spelljammer ship. Accommodate its size. If a color pool leads to a crystal sphere, typically this pool will be 1d6 times 10 feet in diameter. And yeah, 1d6 times 10 feet diameter. The largest size pools can accommodate the beam length of a Spelljammer ship to pass through if the destination will accommodate its size. A sentient creature can concentrate on a color pool to scry a location, to scry within the sphere using an intelligence arcana or wisdom arcana or insight to within a sphere by making an intelligence or wisdom arcana or insight check using the DCs as listed above. The DC is the same as the list, is the DC is determined by the familiarity of the location of the intended location as listed above. Great. So you're effectively just scrying the location you intend to go to at all. In this case, I intend to find the Xerxes fleet or the Xerxes loyalty to stop them. So when you arrive at the Crystal Sphere, the adventurer is making the check for you. You're succeeding the DC 28 check that would be implied here, and you thus arrive within 1 day's travel of the location. That is the most technical information that we have in the entire box set about how you cross from the astral space into a crystal sphere. So from that, therefore, we have extrapolated this block. That's design work that's needed, folks. So cheers. I don't think I've seen anyone else do this yet for 5th edition. So I'm happy to be here doing this stuff with you guys. We're going to talk about animals in a bit. What is it? 8:30? We're looking good. I'm going to take a quick bio break, and then we're going to do some maps. So we're going to make sure this sits pretty. It's pretty. I'm pretty happy so far. Mapping space and encounters. So mapping crystal spheres. This is the Xerxes sphere. And then we have the realms as well. Realms is 60 billion miles diameter, requiring 30 days of travel from the edge of the crystal sphere to the central star. In this map, each square is 1 billion miles, requiring 10 days to traverse. And then we have the section scaling maps to your needs, which is the DM can scale the map to whatever size squares is appropriate to the adventure. For example, maps of the inner planes of realm space can scale the grid using a 50 million mile square. Traveling at 100 million miles per day, a Spelljammer can travel one square in 12 hours. On the map, Toril, number 4, is 6 squares away from Colaire, number 3, requiring 3 days to travel between these planets. A DM can roll for encounters with each square. A DM can roll for encounters for each square a DM can roll for encounters whenever the ship enters a new square. Which is a DM could choose to roll for encounters whenever the ship enters a new square, which is twice each day, using the tables included with the Spelljammer's Adventure in Space book, SAS. Alternatively, if the DM has already decided that there will be one encounter, one or more, may instead choose to roll 1d4 to determine how many squares away from Toril the encounter occurs. Pretty straightforward. Okay, great. So I'm going to do a quick bio break, and when we are done with that, we are going to start our mapping. Four. And then 4. All right, I'm going to do a quick bio, and then we'll BRB. So give me a minute here. Do you need to know that I'm doing a bio? You probably don't. BRB 5 minutes. All right, I'll be back in 5. All right. We are back at it. Let's see. Do. So, realm space has a central star. It's 100,000 miles. So, we're going to put it in that square. Next, let's see. Realms is 60 billion miles diameter, requiring 30 days of travel. Each square is 1 billion miles, requiring 10 days to traverse. Realms is 60 billion miles diameter, requiring 30 days of travel. That doesn't sound right. 30 days of travel at 100 million miles would be, maybe that's right. 100, no, it would only be, it's only 3 billion. Sorry, it's 6.4 billion technically. I mean, if you want to get super technical, it's 6.4 billion, not 60, it's 6. It's 6 billion miles diameter, requiring 30 days to travel from the edge of the crystal sphere to the central star, period. Requiring 10 days to traverse to move 1 square. So next we draw a circle. Seven squares wide. Circle. Do I want that scale? I mean, it's pretty. I mean, it's very, very trite. Let's go check out our planets. So let's see, Spelljammer, realm, space. Reference page. Thank you. How far away is the farthest far? Yeah, that's 10 moons. $1.5 billion. Okay, so the furthest out is 1.5 billion. So let's see if I go like that. And then we go select, modify, contrast 5 pixels there. We have a circle, so this is the outer sphere. I want to write on that crystal. Next one. So this is 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, that's 30 million. So this is 1 square. So somewhere in here is where Pakatha is at. And everything else is like super closer to that. So let's mark down real quick where this is at exactly. Pakatha, 1.6 billion. Then got garden. Garden is 1.2 billion, 1.2 B. Next we got Glyph. Glyph is 1 billion. 1B. And we got Chandos, 400 million. Now, get out of here, scallywag. And then Carpri is 300, of course. Carpri is 300 million away. And then whoa, wait a second. Yeah, that's right. That would be 600 M miles. It's 1 billion mile. And another 600 million miles. Total 1.2 million. That doesn't make any sense. That'll be another 400 million miles. Total of 1.6 billion. All right, so let's see. So it goes 100, 200. Something's breaking my brain. Capri, 300. So that means Toral's 200. Yep, 200 million. So Collier is 100 million. And so Nadia is 50 million. There you go. So yeah, 50 million miles. Add 50, you're now 50 away. Add 50, you're now 100 away. Add 100, you're now 200 away. There we go. That's starting to make sense. Making Christmas. Okay. 50 goes to Nadia, 50 goes to Collier, 100 goes to Toril, 100 goes to Capri, 100 goes to Chandros, 100 goes to Glyph. There we go. Then I got our servers built out proper so we can look at our banding. 3 million, and then half that distance is just blank space, and then you get to Hekatha. You got a cluster of about 0.5 billion. You got it's basically a range of 6 days, and then you've got a 6-day jump, and then you've got 4 days. So you got 15 days, 6 days, 6 days again, and then 4 days. 4, 6, 6, 6, 14. 4, 6, 6, 14. I could probably do what, 200? What would 200? What would 200 million look like? So we got our central star, and then we've got 2 million. So this is where Toril is at, and then you got 4 million. So this is where what, Garden? Chandros, 4 million, and then 6, 8, 10. And then another one here, and then skip another one here. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Looking a bit like this, isn't it? There we go. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24, 26, 28, 30. And then here's your far wall. Far wall. So that's the size of this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then 15. So a D6 and a D8 can be rolled together, and then minus 1. No, 2D. Yeah, it'd be 2D8 minus 1, and then you start 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14. I guess that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's not right. So that has to be 0. Which means this has to get pushed back a square. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 16. So that'd be 0, and then 1, etc., as I just said. There. This has to be like that, and this has to be like this. Okay, cool. So let's draw this out and see if if this makes more sense. So let's get that map back here real quick. And don't need, we need that. We don't need that. We do need this. Whew, boy, this guy's big. This guy is big. Let's duplicate that. And then free transform is flip. I'll move it over here. This is the true size of the system. Actually, it's not. This is half the size of the. To scale, it's half the scale. Regardless of being so much bigger, it's half the scale. So this here is scaling at 50 million per square. This here is scaling at 100 million miles per square. It's the Zaraxa system. So. Space. Let's make this this thing small enough to fit on that page? Really? Boy, that's small. I do whatever. All right. Whatever. I'm trying to drown in the moment. Let's get it back. Okay, so this is 100 million miles per square. So 100 million miles each. 1 square equals 100 million miles. No, leave it alone. Realm space 1 square equals 200 million miles. Smaller. Okay. Yeah, cool. So this will be obviously much larger, and therefore the grid will be much smaller. So I'm going to make that grid darker, so it's more easily seen at a distance. That'll work. Okay, cool. So let's see. Ugh, you got real ugly, kid. Transform. There, there, there. Too big. Transfer selection. That's right, it has to be halfway. So, bloop, and then select, modify, contract, 5, delete, next. Circle. Transform selection. This is why I get paid the big bucks, folks. I just hope people like my stuff. You know, God permitting, I am attempting to say, God permitting, I'm going to have another 40 years of doing this stuff. I'm going to be really, really good at painting and designing stuff in 40 years from now. So jump on board now, and you can be one of the braggers who said, I remember Phil back when he was using Photoshop on a screen. And you're like, wow, dude, that's like, wow. Yep. Next. All right. Luckily, I don't have to be exact with these things, right? So I can start here, and I can go to here, and then I can one, two, three here. Not look right. because it's off center. That's why. 2, 2. Still doesn't look. Oh, that's only 1. Got it. 2. There we go. Better. Select, modify, contract, delete. Next. It's 1 square bigger. That's great news. Next. Here. This. That's really, really nice. That pixelation was super cool. Did you see that? God, I wish that was just like a regular function. God, that was great. I don't even know how the hell that happened, but it was beautiful to see. Back it up like 5 seconds, you'll see it like do that squarish steps, that stepping square thing. God, that was cool. I legit wish I knew how that happened because that was like super useful. Ridiculously useful function. All right, my dudes, we're almost there. See, look at that. It's doing that pixel thing again. That's so cool. I love how that looks. That is so useful. Just gotta get the scale to work out so it stays synced with the grid. And then it'll be like super boss. Pretty sure it's like that. Yeah, that jives. That. No. Do that. Wait. There. Select. Modify. No. 5. Enter. Delete. Why are you so thin? That's really, there's something weird going on about that stuff. Hold on. Inverse. Select. Modify. Contract. Well, now it just looks stupid and ugly. What the deuce? Okay, something weird happened there. Let's try this again. Here. Why is it? What is going on? Huh. All right, I guess we try again. Oh, it's because it's splaying so much. I guess that makes sense. Down. A little lighter. Have to go in and fix this stupid thing. Let's go in and fix it. Well, we know where grid needs to be now, so at least that's I think the amount of distortion we had to do was breaking it. So I'm gonna say hopefully that pans out, right? Select, modify, contrast. Did that work? Yes, that worked. Thank Gord. I think that applied at the edge of this thing was screwing it up. All right, one more time. Yeah, you know, you're acting like you're not screwed up, but you're definitely screwed up. Freaking messing around with me, buddy. Oof, close. There. 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 Good. And select, modify, contract. Oh, seriously? Get these guys back online. All right, dude. It's a little distorted this far out. Hit it. There we go. That's lined up. And this guy. Seems to be pretty good too. Okay, yep, yeah, that feels a lot better. Okay, cool. Let's see, next circle. On here. Hey, not bad. Like that, and then select, modify, contract. Okay. Yeah, that seems pretty good. All right, and now for the last one. Paste it in the resistance, the sphere, the egg sealer. Two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, that's fortuitous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then some. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then some. Six. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5, 6. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Cool. There we go. Chip, chop, cherry, cheru, cherom. Looks pretty good. Good. And now the next one up feels a little bit off, as it is. Good. Good. Better already. There we go. That feels pretty good. That one. Good. And then there we go. See how that is? Outside, inside, inside, outside. So this is 200 million miles. This is another 200 million miles. So you got on the outside of the 200 million, you got 300 million. And then you got 200 million. Sorry, that's right. 200 million here on the outside. On the inside is 100 million. So there's technically 2 planets that are running around inside there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. 2 running around inside there. Nadia and Collier. And then you got Tyrell. And then we have the word I'm looking for is Archaea. Is that what it is? Anyway, who cares? And then you got Hakatha, where the beholders are. So that's the important stuff. So this is how the crystal sphere looks. I'll move this guy. To here. I like him being on that inside track. That's cool. There. 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 Merge down. Okay, cool. So that is checking for distortion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Check for distortion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is a little different. 6. There we go. There it is. Now we're doing good. Okay, cool. So now we can take the grid, make that a little bit darker. Hopefully it's full. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and grab a screenshot of that. That's the easiest thing for us to do right now for the sake of the playtest bump. No. There it is. Nope, still a little close. Still like that. Thank you. There we go. There we go. Space managed. $200 per day. Scaling maps during exploration. All right, what we could do is drill through. The next thing that we need to do is scaling map during exploration. So we've explained here that these are the different sizes of objects in the game, and these are the different scales of map that you will find relevant in the game. Travel time in the astral sea, visibility, how far away you can see objects of different sizes, equipment that can modify this, make a scaling map. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'll get to that. Tracking orbits and entry points. We talked about that one, since equipment to see different space. And we're tracking orbits, visibility, scaling time and distance, and wild space. Right. So that includes visibility. I'm going to get rid of those caps. Visibility. And tracking orbits and entry points. We got visibility. Just making sure I'm covering all the crap. Travel time at sea, map scale, and wild space. Scaling time and distance in wild space. Time and distance. Okay, that makes sense. So time and distance. That's fair. So time traveled through astral space, distance to seeing different size objects, equipment that modifies it, tracking orbits and time through space, and entry points. So we're looking at entry point, the familiarity of your entry point, what are color pools, mapping space and encounters. Yeah, mapping space and encounters, mapping crystal spheres, mapping wild space, and encounters, mapping crystal spheres, scaling maps to your need. Okay, so we got through all the blah blah. It is 6 billion miles in diameter, requiring 30 days to travel from the edge of the crystal sphere to the center star to the center star, period. In this map, each square is 100 billion miles, requiring, each square is 200 million miles, requiring 2 days to move 1 square. This is a two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The hell's wrong with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This map requires 17 squares as depicted here to map the full sphere. Add a table with 1-inch square miniatures. This requires an area of 17 inches by 17 inches to interact with on the table. The Xerxes base map requires 17 squares as depicted here to map the full sphere. At a table with 1-inch square miniatures, this requires an area of 17 inches by 17 inches to interact with on a table. The realm space map the realm space sphere is significantly larger than the Xerxes space sphere. Even at 200 million miles per square, the map requires one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, half point, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Yep, 29. Beep, beep. 29. Where was I? 29. Requires an area of 29 inches by 29 inches to fully interact with on the table. While virtual tabletops like 20. All virtual tabletops like Roll20 provide a large map environment to place to explore maps, to explore large map environments up to 100 by 100 squares. There's often there's few reasons. There's not how to say there's little interaction with the game world between characters and the campaign world at this scale. Virtual tabletops like Roll20 provide a large map environment to explore large maps environments up to 100 by 100 squares. Larger areas can be simplified to fewer squares by increasing how much area each square represents. When exploring smaller regions, the scale of each square can reduce to accommodate the common scale of objects within the region. When exploring smaller, the DM can scale the map to whatever size square. That's right. The DM can scale the map to whatever size of square that is appropriate to the adventure. For example, maps in the inner planets of realm space can scale the grid to a 50 million mile square. 1, 2, 3, 4. This scale, each inner planet can be interacted with more directly by the characters. Can be interacted with more directly than at the 200 million mile scale illustrated above. For example. There we go. Okay, cool. So I got that depicted. Got the interaction with scaling down. So now scaling down maps during exploration. So most adventuring in space is aboard a Spelljammer. Is aboard a spell jamming ship. Which can occupy a single 500-foot square. Using this 500-foot scale, asteroid fields, planetary rifts, and ravines can be navigated the same as individual characters can explore a cavern or dungeon passage at the 5-foot scale. Furthermore, spelljamming ships have the ability to rotate on any axis to orient weapons or cargo bay doors. Orient weapons or cargo bay doors in any direction as part of the character's actions during a round of combat. So the ships can have the same amount of maneuverability and precise movement. Let's see. Furthermore, spelljamming ships have the ability to rotate on any axis to orient weapons or cargo bay doors in any direction as part of the character's action during a round of combat. Furthermore, as detailed in the SAS, spelljamming ships have the ability spelljamming ships can stop and hover in place and have the ability to rotate on any axis to orient weapons or cargo bay doors in any direction as part of the character's actions during a round of combat. So the ships have the same amount of maneuverability and precise movement a character movements at the 500 foot down to the 5-foot scale of map. But ships are so large, it's often not practical to map their movement at this scale. Instead, ships most often explore at the 50-foot and 500-foot scale on a map. The 50-foot, 500-foot, the 50-foot and 500-foot scale let's see. So instead, ships most often explore at the 50-foot and 500-foot scale square on a map. God, I feel like I should start talking about the size of ships right now, but that's just like a page and a half worth of content. So let's see. There we go. Let's see. However, scale. However, ships range in size from 50 feet to 250 feet. In length. So it's not practical to map their movement at this scale. Instead, ships are most often explored at the 50-foot and 500-foot scale square on a map. At 50 feet, ships will occupy spaces from a 2x2 square grid, 2x2 square area, such as a damselfly. So this is a damselfly, or I think a wasp is that small. Let's check down here and find out. Wasp. There you go. So this is a damselfly or wasp. Up to a 5x5 square area, such as a hammer ship or squid ship. These vehicles can operate these vehicles can operate more, can interact more freely on a larger these vehicles have far more maneuverability and space to explore on a map at this scale than possible at 5 feet, but a larger ship like a squid, a ship like a squid occupies a 5-inch space on a 1-inch per square map on a table, which at 500 feet, ships occupy 1 square, similar to how a small or tiny size creature occupies a 5-foot square on a map, on a dungeon map. Those tables. This is the most. This allows for ships. This allows at this scale. Ships can interact and maneuver. Can interact with and maneuver through. Can interact with and maneuver through environments sized to a 500-foot scale. At this scale, ships can interact with and maneuver through environments as easily as characters aboard the ships at the 5-foot scale on deck. Scaling map during most adventuring in space to support a spelljamming ship. Let's see. This is actually. Let's go with tactical maps. Spelljamming ships. That's where this belongs. Down here. Perfect. Let's see. Scales maps during exploration. Oh boy. Okay, cool. So it is 9:45. I'm going to stop this process, and instead I'm going to get down into creatures. Chapter 4. Converting Light of Xerxes. Let's go to Creatures in Wild Space. There we go. Here we are. List of megafauna size. So we're going to go through the list of creatures in the Boo's Menagerie. So we can look at candidates for being giant size creatures. If a ship is supposed to be threatened by some of these creatures, and they are, what am I trying to say? Yeah, if their ships are supposed to be big enough to be bit by your ship, then that means that those creatures are going to be probably larger than 500 feet. or at minimum 500 feet. So they're probably going like, while your ship is filling 1 square, you're going to be running across these creatures that could fill like maybe a gargantuan space at the 500-foot scale, like being 2,000 feet long or something. Like that is what I would expect of giant space creatures. I don't know if there's going to be anything in here that properly depicts it, because typically we cap out at gargantuan size, 20 feet by 20 feet, and beyond that it doesn't really matter. But obviously these ships are mammoth, so there should be some sort of, there isn't, because I've checked all of them already to see if there's any mention about like how big things are, and generally there aren't. So we're going to see if we can just build some excuse me, if we can pick out some of these creatures as being larger than they're depicted in the book, like if they're if we need to make the mechanics bigger, blah blah blah, bigger. So structures that they scale up into the thousands of hit points as they grow in size, like the Citadel of Zaraxis as a whole, as a 1 mile structure, has what, 30,000 hit points. So it takes a while to knock it apart. So if we're running across 1 mile large creatures, then they will have a similarly massive amount of hit points, requiring potential fleets for you to come at them to eventually destroy them if they don't just eat your square and swallow your fleet whole. But I'm going to grab some water real quick. So I'm going to BRB. Be right back. Be right back. All right, let's see. Okay, so let's hop back over into Revel in Zaraxis. Let's go to Boo's Menagerie. Boo, boo, boo! We're gonna go just fishing around to see the size of stuff, right? That's how we'll, at least that's how we'll start. Almost there, stay on target. Fucking space clowns. Get out of my life. Zodar. All right, aesthetic. Let's just, I guess we just, oh, I missed a bunch. None of you guys let me know I missed those. I am not surprised. No, get out of here. No. All right, let's start at the beginning then and just kick our way through these things as fast as we can. By shooting the 5 stars, cover the thick dark skin. It's an intelligent plant creature that lived to wage war. That lived to wage war. We found throughout the wild space. Our body is a 5-shaped star. Flexible, tips to branch like extremities and suction cups that allow the creature to climb over vertical surfaces along ceilings. See suction cup. Head objects surrounds a 6-foot stalk. Okay, great. Let's just go down here. It's a large plant. Large. And then, elder is large. Medium. These things are cool as shit, dude. I actually like these things a lot. Arctics are cool. So, small to large. Like medium, large. Medium to large. Medium. I don't know. So Braxit is a huge creature. I think it's crazy that there's Braxit in here. This was a Dark Sun creature initially. What's your CR, son? CR9. Great Club, Acid Breaths, Psionics, more Psionics. Smart as a button. Warm-blooded carnivore with thick articulated shell, black squash, horny protrusions, thick arms, large hands, thumbs, upright, roll stones and pears, prowling deserts. Hunt alone and in pairs, prowling deserts, dry canyons, desolate wastelands, lonely asteroids, in search of prey. Can also spew acid, though they tend to do so only as a last resort, since the acid dissolves and ruins the flesh they crave. Abraxit projects an invisible psychic barrier around itself that enhances its natural armor, and it can amplify these magical energies to create shields of rippling force to detect incoming attacks, absorb magic missile spells. Sure, whatever. And they're huge. Okay. They're huge. I love you, Braxat. Dark Sun misses you. Broad shoulder forearm monsters. Communicate with one of these grunts and basic hand signals. Large. Habitat. And huge. Chwinga. Chwingas are cool. Chwinga astronauts. Chwingas that live in wild space usually dwell in habitable moons and asteroids. They occasionally stow away on Spelljammer ships. Or ride around on space guppies, described later in this book. Using the magical gift ability, Chwinga astronaut can bestow one of the following charms in place of those described in the DMG. Air bubble, instant tools. Chwingas are... love Chwingas. That's so cool that they're here. I love all these creatures. I legitimately do. They're super fun. Like, excellent credit for super imagination. This has got to be Chris Perkins here. Space Guppy. Space guppies are tiny. They glide through wild space in the astral sea. Twinga astronauts, described earlier. Sprites and other tiny creatures occasionally use space guppies as mounts. Giant, cute plant eating rodents. Large beast. So silly. Okay, great. So, space guppies are small. Cosmic horrors. Just gonna tool down to the space guppy. Small. Tiny. Large. Tiny. Space eel, small. Gosh, I love the flavor of all this stuff. It's so fun. Space clowns are stupid as hell, but here they are. That's got to be Jeremy Crawford's idea. Medium. Or maybe it's just an intern. They let interns come up with names and stuff. All right, solar. Ancient solar dragons, what up? All right, let's see how these things sit. That's what? Solar is medium, dragon wormling, AD, large. Adult is huge. Ancient is gargantuan, I bet. That looks, I don't know. There's nothing to compare it to. Maybe there's some sort of mention about just how big these things could be. Doesn't even breathe. .240 feet, Blossom's 40, so it's a total of 250 feet, so it's 5 squares away at the 50-foot scale. It's, takes 3 legendary actions, makes one tail attack, emits magical light. It's a siege monster that deals double damage to objects and structures. So that's telling me, when it has things that deal damage like that, like the Tarrasque, typically something that's supposed to be bigger than 20 feet by 20 feet. They just don't know what to do with it. Solar creature, star. Creature that's within 10 miles of the star or inside it is blinded, whatever it is. Any creature that enters the star takes a lot of damage. I'm going to say that these are contenders for mega-sized. So we're going to go with Arg, and then huge, and then large, and then medium. Good candidates. No, that's the right thing to do. Good candidates. I'd say the Solar Dragons are the first thing that we run across so far. That is like a legit good candidate for being Megafauna. Soy. Void Scabbers are 20 feet long. Each one is a solitary menace. A Scabber can't emit an invisible ray from its eye that causes its target to feel fear, even more intense than what it might normally experience given the creature's size and nature. Swallowing bite is large or smaller. Swallowing bite. It is blinded. Swallow takes 25 damage or more in a single turn from a creature inside it. The Scabbard must succeed DC 20 Constitution save throw at the end of the turn or regurgitate blood. Ray of Fear. Eyes emit invisible magical ray that targets one creature. Invisible ray can see within 60 feet. Whatever. The target has success on a DC 16 Wisdom saving throw or be frightened of the Scabber until the start of the Scabber's next turn. So, boy, and it has a 60-foot range. That is ridiculous. What's it supposed to hunt? Things that can't see in space? Night Scabber, Void Scabba, huge and huge. Void Scabbers are 20 feet, yet they're only listed as huge monstrosities. What? Oh, they're only taking up a huge space, which is 15 by 15. They're 20 feet long. I think these things should be bigger. 15 feet. Gray Scabbers are medium size. Gray Scabber. Clockwise from top. Night Scabber. Gray Scabber. Void Scabber. Brown Scabber. 20 feet, huh? Yeah, okay. Medium, large, pretty sure, oh wait, the large, medium, pretty sure the Void Scabber is supposed to be gargantuan. Biggies, maybe. We might scale a Scabber up to the 50-foot scale. You know, like as in like a Big Louie sort of thing. These guys look medium-sized to me. Rigor. Medium, medium. And then let's go to the $50-foot. I'm pretty sure the aesthetic is 50 feet. Let's go there now. That's bigger than 50. That's bigger than 20 feet, dude. That's 20 feet right there. Now that's 5, 10, 15. That's 20 feet right there. This thing, that's big. How big is big? 100? There we go, Megapede. Much as 150 feet long. Thank you. So, Megapede. Thank you. Nice. Let's see. Megapede. Ooh, I should be marking. I should also be marking down size and jam. Yes. Yes. No, wait. No, they can't jam. Sorry. Yes. 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 I'm going to say the large and medium ones can't. One S yeses, Phil. Thank you. In O. In O. In O. Pretty sure Zodar can. I want to say they can. I'm looking for the letter E. Aesthetic, 50 feet. Yes, I'm pretty sure aesthetics are 50 feet. Let's go find out for sure. Chwinga, Pilar. Alright, back on top. Large, artists are cool. Right, cosmic horror. That's what we were having a conversation with. Cosmic horrors are colossal, malevolent entities that occasionally slip the bonds of the far realms and find themselves adrift in astral space. Drawn to the light of distant stars, these creatures invade while space distance and lay waste to worlds. After feeding on the minds and bodies of a world's inhabitants, till it is sated, a cosmic horror usually returns to the void, where it falls into a deep sleep, drifting aimlessly into hunger, or some other stimulus awakes it. This is incredibly Eldrazi. I would love to see some Zendikar getting dropped into here. Cosmic horrors are among the most powerful creatures spawned by the Far Realms. No two of them have the same appearance, but they have certain qualities in common. Each one is roughly 100 feet long or tall, and its physical form is a seemingly impossible conglomeration of eyes, mouths, wings, tentacles, and less recognizable organs and appendages. That's fun. Within 120 feet, whatever. You can take it 2 steps. So dumb. Whatever, we're gonna have to fix that. Cosmic Horror is 100 feet. 100 foot plus. Jamming, yes. In. Doe gonna cut you. That's what Doe would do. Small. Aesthetic. Let's see. Organic ship with only the barest hints of awareness without a rigor to guide it. It comes blah de blah. Up to 6 medium creatures. So roughly 6 by 6. We're gonna stay at 50 feet and say yes. So screw you, Ufus. Eyemonger. Jeez, that thing's creepy. When its large eye and mouth are closed, the eyemonger looks like nothing more than a 12-foot diameter asteroid. When it senses vibration and space around it, the eyemonger opens its eye and reveals its true menacing nature. An eyemonger has no use for treasure, but its belly might hold a fair amount of incidental valuables that it can't digest, including coins, weapons, gems, magic items, bond anything that's swallowed. Although an eyemonger doesn't project an anti-magic cone from its eye as a beholder does, magic is suppressed inside of it. Sure. I'm going to say no, they can't. We're going to go with maybe. And then no. Fair. Fear. Cynical horror that feeds. Large fear. Seems like a no. Let's find out more. The Windwall Space, as they are in dark alleys and dungeons, a fare that comes across the Spelljamming ship, tries to enter the ship's air envelope and stow away, remaining secluded. Oh man, we slowed. Why did we slow? I have no idea why we slowed down. Well, I couldn't see anything in space around us. It must have been a false alarm. Let's speed up again and carry on without thinking anything further of it. I hope there's not a monster that's stowed away someplace. It'll sneak aboard, right? Come on, man. Such a hideous monsters that prey intelligent life forms. Head, spongy head, large monster. Oh, Gadget from... This is a bunch of Dark Sun stuff, man. Why the hell is Dark Sun doing it in my Spelljammer? I am really confused by... I don't know, dude. Medium. Inope. Inope. I mean, Hodosia, like, kind of. Can Hodosi achieve spell jamming speeds? Like, if they have an infinite falling distance, can they truly reach spell jamming speed? How long would it take to scale up to Spelljammer speed? Oh boy. All right, well, let's... Against my better judgment, A, B, C, F, G, H. Against my better judgment, I'm going to go look at the Hodosi and figure out the Hodosi Yeet to see how vicious these dudes can actually get. Hold on real quick. Let's find. It's got to have a thing around here. Let's explore the Hodosi Yeet. Excuse me, I have some hiccups going on here. There's a yeet. That's hilarious. Oh my god, it's so freaking funny. Glide. Hodosi Yeet glide. Alright. Hodosi Yeet. If you're not incapacitated... Okay, so maybe... hold on. I have 310. All right, we're having a this is me marking down on a timestamp the Thursday 8/25 tear out. All right, so Hodosi Yeets. This is we are exploring the physics of yeet through space, of using a Hodosi glide with infinite distance available. How fast can we ramp up? How soon? Is it reasonable for us to hit jamming speeds? So it reads: if you're not incapacitated or wearing heavy armor, you can extend your skin membrane and glide. When you do so, you can perform the following aerial maneuvers. You can move up to 5 feet horizontally for every 1 foot you descend in the air at no movement cost to you. When you would take damage from a fall, you can use your reaction to reduce the fall's damage to nothing. So, you can move 5 feet for every 1 foot you descend. I see what it's trying to do there. So if gravity is pulling me down, I can shift that fall laterally. I'm supposed to be doing it with my wings. Aerial maneuvers. You descend in the air At no movement cost. Okay, yeah, no, you cannot infinite yeet through space unless there's air. There has to be some sort of something pulling you, but you can juggle your gravity field. So okay, so if we are, I'm going to, I'm going to lock the grid, I'm going to lock Zerax's space, I'm going to lock realm space. All right, so if we're going to yeet, we're here. For every 1 foot I fall, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, then I fall 5 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I hit the gravity plane. Say it's here. So now I drop here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can keep, actually, put myself over here. All right, so 5, 5, 5. I can just keep kicking. If we're looking at say a hammer ship that fills a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5 by 30 foot space, something like this, right? And so it's going to have that. And let's say this is sidewise, but we can do it like this, right? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my air bubble limit, and it's falling through air. Specifically says falling through air. So this is 50 feet. So I know for every 1 foot for every 5 feet I fall this way, I go 25 feet that way. So I can juggle. So 5 feet, 5 feet. I can bounce 1 point in the middle at 25 feet and then bounce again at 25 feet. So I'm going to have this cadence of bump, 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 like that. That's how it's going to checker. And then once I do that, it's going to have me drifting off like this, like this, like that, for basically at that angle, because that was my angle of drift when I left the air envelope of the ship. So I won't be gaining any more momentum than what I had accumulated over that 250-foot stretch, dropping off the back of that ship and juggling myself across the gravity field. So that means it's 250 times 5. So that's 1250. So it's 1250 per 6 seconds. That is 2.5 times 500 foot square. So I can basically move. We can round up. 3 times 500 feet per round, which equals 1.5 miles in 1 minute, which is the amount of time it takes me without oxygen to bounce from one ship to the next. If I have an air bubble spell or a fish suit, I can't use a fish suit because of my wings. If I have an air bubble spell on me, or like a Druidcraft to refresh my air envelope every minute, then I can effectively just maintain that 500 feet per round, that 3 times 500 feet per round momentum forever until I hit another atmosphere and then start oscillating through the atmosphere as well. And the atmosphere only needs to be 50 feet or larger to be a larger source of gravity than myself. So that's your fast answer. If up to, I guess, whatever your maximum falling speed would be, but I don't think we really need to worry about that with space. I think that's reasonable. Let me think. We're looking at this. I'm trying to think. Is there a falling distance maximum? I mean, you can't take damage beyond 20d6 in D&D, which implies you can't fall faster than 100 feet per round. But it's fairly common to presume you can fall 1,000 feet per round. It's like 500 feet the first round, and then it ramps to 1,000 feet the second round. And if you have 1,000 feet of distance before you hit the end of your air envelope, like if I started, like I had 2 hammer ships lined up, and I bounced along it, then I took off when I hit the end of its air envelope, then I could get myself up to 1,000 feet of falling, which converts to 5,000 feet horizontal movement. So with 1,000 feet of gravity well, as in 2 hammerhead ships lined up, bubble to bubble, barely touching, I could yeet at 1 mile per hour. Well, sorry, 1 mile per round, which is 5,000 divided by 6 times 60 times 60, 3 million feet per second. 300 million feet per round divided by 600 miles per hour. So there you go. Yep, all you need is 1,000 feet worth of air bubble, and have your Hidozi just skip himself across it. Pow! There he goes. It 1 mile per, yeah, you can easily do that within 1,000 feet. So there you go, 600 miles per hour. Pow! So 600 miles per hour. So you got 1 mile per hour, 2 mile, 10 mile per hour, 100 mile per hour, 1,000 mile per hour. Meh. Round that down to the yeah, I mean, down to 100 miles per hour is pretty easy. So anyway, that's hour times 60. That's 600 times 60. That's per minute. Per second. That's divided by 10 times 10. 3,600 feet per round. 360 feet per round. Yeah. There you go. So that was fun. So let's see. What is? There we go. So let's see. Hidozi Yeats. Yeah. Yep. Pretty legit. All right. Well, I'm going to finish this out and I'm going to do some more writing, but that's it for today. I'm going to be back at lunch stream tomorrow, but I honestly have no idea when I'm going to be working on lunch stream tomorrow. I feel like I'm going to be working on this because I'm prioritizing this, but I'm really, really feeling a pull on Eberron, but I'm also wanting to do some art. So maybe I just might do some book cover ideation stuff. I think that's what I'll be doing on Friday is probably maybe I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, because I'm not doing playtesting this weekend. I'm doing Eberron design on Saturday instead. So I will. Yeah, I'm gonna do some book cover tomorrow. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do artwork tomorrow. So show up for artwork, dudes. And like, subscribe, share. Check out the books in the description down below at DMsGuild. All my stuff that if I publish it, it's always cover to cover, free to view. Buy it if you like it. I hope you do. And the Patreon is where the playtest document here. The link is in that Patreon link. You don't have to be a Patreon member to access this read-only document. You're welcome. And let's see. Twitter. That's it. All right, I'm gonna bounce. Thanks, guys. Oh, see you on the other side.